if I missed some of it.
Okay. So here, this section of tonight's class is to confirm up what we need to do for the OS.
So as you are giving the OS, if you have not already heard from the ERE teacher whether or not your SOP has received the full OS or a portion of the OS, double check with her to make sure you know. If they've already received part of the OS, it's okay because there's some differences. Number one, we are not giving the concepts about print, so that will not be a repeat. Let me use this as my cheat sheet. When it comes to the reading and reading with the kids, it will not matter that they've already done some reading with the ERE teacher. Our advice would be to touch base with the classroom teacher to see where the classroom teacher sees the student reading independently and instructionally to give you a guide. That way you're not going into this blind and ending up getting to read 6, 7, 8, 9 books. So get a guide from the classroom teacher as to where you could start to try to find that instructional, frustrational, and independent level. Okay, does that cover your question, Stephanie? Okay. So then when it comes to letter ID, if you end up with an SOP that has already received this portion, we think it's okay to look at how did that student typically respond. If that student tended to respond giving all or almost all letter names, I don't want to say giving permission, but Clay says take any, but do this portion again, the letter ID, and try to get any additional information. So it would be requesting if they know letter sounds or an association. So you're trying to just gather more information. It's not going to help anyone for the student to rattle off the letter names again. So you could try to get, the sound or an association. When it comes to the word reading, we are using a different list than what the ERE teachers use. So we'll pass this out when we're done here.
I passed it out.
These?
Yep.
Oh, okay, there you go. She said you already have them. So you can start.
Oh, do you have two?
This was the first grade one.
Oh.
So we'll start
Okay.
with the kindergarten words. So our thinking was this is the sheet that you can use to have the students read off of. And typically what we'll do is, cover it up this way and have them just read across and then slide down. And we thought it would work okay to use this as your recording sheet where you can record their responses next to the word. Okay. For simplicity purposes. So our thinking here was start with the 5K words. We know they've already been exposed. If they've been in our district, they've been exposed to these words in 5K, potentially even exposed to them now that we're a month and a half almost into the school year. If they do well on the kindergarten word list, we were then thinking you could start the first grade word list, which will give you that sheet also, and just see how they do. And again, record your responses on here. If they're starting to, for lack of better words, struggle and they're not getting many of them, you can make the call to say, okay, let's move on to something else. And not all the kindergarten or the first grade words are on here, but we went as far down the list as what would fit on the page. So you can make that judgment call of how far you end up going based off of what they're doing. If they miss 2, 3 of these, 4, you may still decide, let's just see what they do here. Okay. So the word list is different, so they won't be receiving the same word list. The writing vocabulary, our thinking here was, this could be really powerful. Now that they've been in school for a month and a half, and the OS might have been 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks, just depending on the situation, could be pretty powerful to compare. What did they write for the written vocab when they first received the OS, and what did they write today? If anything, we're going to get some more information, right? So that shouldn't be an issue. And then the last one is the hearing and recording sounds. The ERE teachers did not have this new text until last week. So the sentences are different. So they're not receiving the same sentence. And in fact, what will be really interesting is the sentences in here. They're looking for 50 sounds. Why don't I just use your tabs? They're looking for 50 sounds. In the one, the sentences that they would have received from the old text was only 37 sounds. And we made the executive decision to have everybody go with Form A. So on page 118, for the hearing and recording sounds, we'll just have everybody use Form A, which is the very first sentence. Or sentences, because it's actually two now. So it shouldn't be an issue if your SOP has already received some or all of the OS from the ERE teacher, because we have enough differences and variation that it shouldn't matter.
And so we're not doing this Ohio one, correct?
Correct, we're not doing Ohio. So the master sheet that's in your packet, you can basically take out or X out whatever works for you. And then you can use this as your master recording sheet. And then you have the kindergarten list. We will also pass out the first grade list in the event you need it for your student.